Manchester United are back in the Champions League, right where we belong, baby, with a 4-1 demolition of Chelsea. So much good stuff. Let's analyze. Okay, so before we analyze actual footage from the game, let's look at some data and some stats. Of course, one of the most important statistics in modern football is expected goals. As you can see, Manchester United's expected goal was at 4.92 as opposed to Chelsea's 1.68. So we were 3 times as likely to score. But also this shows that Chelsea were actually much more dangerous than the score leads to believe. But what I love looking at was one of my favorite graphs when it comes to football statistics is this expected goal timing chart, because this literally shows you the story of the game in a snapshot. And what this shows is how poor Manchester United are when it comes to game management. I don't care whether we won 4-1, we have to talk about this, because next season in the Champions League, in the Premier League, we definitely have to improve this aspect of our game. As you can see here, the best chance of the game was, of course, Chelsea's. I think this was Mudryk's chance, which we're going to look at in the footage. And then Casemiro, against the run of play, scored that goal from set piece. But what worries me here is that after the Casemiro goal in the 5th minute, Chelsea, in the yellow line, of course, were the likelier team to score the next goal. As you can see, we stagnate. They are creating much better chances than us. In fact, 3 times the expected goal, the amount of expected goals that we have, until we scored the second goal, which was Anthony Martial's goal, again, which was against the run of play. So both of our goals were against the run of play. The second goal, of course, as you can see here, killed Chelsea, because after the second goal, they just stagnated. They did not really create much, while we completely dominated the game and scored 2 more goals. Chelsea are already a disjointed team. They didn't have much to play for. And of course, 2-0 down against Manchester United at Old Trafford. That's it. The game was just a formality. They were completely out. But what worries me, though, is this first half, because it happened many times this season. I talked about it in the game against West Ham, for example, and how West Ham showed way more drive in scoring a goal than we did. So this right here is an area of improvement that Erik Ten Hag and his staff definitely need to improve on in the summer ahead of next season. Now, let's look at some footage and let's analyze some really exciting things that happened on the pitch. Okay, so now let's analyze some footage from the game. So the first sequence we're gonna look at is actually that Mudryk chance in the early stages of the game at around the 3rd minute. But what I like about this sequence is that it shows how Manchester United lose control of midfield, how we lost it against Chelsea, and also this is quite common whenever we lose control of midfield against other teams. So for example, Christian Eriksen in this position, first of all, why is he that far off from the middle of the park? I don't know, but he loses the ball in this area. We are always giving up the ball too cheaply, right? So he loses the ball. But because we are too spread out, Chelsea were always likelier to keep the ball, because look around Christian Eriksen, there are 3-4 actually Chelsea players, maybe 5 if you include Gallagher, but there aren't much Manchester United players who are truly involved. Casemiro cannot really be involved because otherwise he empties this space over here. Bruno Fernandes is too far, so are our forwards Sancho and Martial over here. Now, of course, Chelsea under Frank Lampard, who is not a tactical genius, but at the same time, he is able to perform a few tweaks that can cause some teams problems. For example, here they started with a midfield 3 of Enzo Fernandez in that number 6 position, and then Carney and Gallagher in a number 8 position. However, Gallagher, because he's such an aggressive player when it comes to how he presses, he was pretty much playing as a second striker. So they were pretty much playing a narrow 4-4-2 shape rather than a 4-1-4-1 shape. And so in this sequence right here, of course, they are able to keep the ball around Christian Eriksen. The ball comes towards Enzo. As you can see, all of our forwards, all of our midfielders are out of the sequence. There is a lot of space to exploit. Mudryk, as you can see here, not only Havertz, but Gallagher is also in a forward position, because they play with a narrow midfield 4, and then Gallagher, who starts as an 8, is so aggressive, he plays further upfield, and Havertz, who's not a traditional number 9, he's more of a false 9, so both of them come in front of Lindelof and Varane, so they have much more ability to be involved in the game. Therefore, Chelsea, always in their midfield area, they have at least 6 players who are able to be involved either in counter-pressing or in keeping the ball. Now, of course, Hall here is making a very good run. So, of course, Gallagher puts the ball towards Hall, Beautiful through ball. Modric is making a pretty good move, pretty good off the ball run. And then that was one of the misses of the season. How did he miss that? 80, 90 million pound winger. He should have buried that. But anyway, that was a lifeline for us. Now, if you're a Manchester United fan, which of course most of you are, you know that this goal that we scored, this Casemiro goal, we've scored copy-paste copies of this goal so many times this season. How so? Every time, whenever we have the ball in these areas, it's either Bruno Fernandes or Christian Eriksen with their right foot who plan to put the ball into this area, and then Casemiro stands in front of the opposition defense, and he always targets this hole, this gap over here, into this area right here. Now, as you can see here, look, guys, I know that most of you have played football. Being in this position as a defender is not natural. You are facing your own goal, the ball is coming towards you, but also it's going away from you because it's taken by a right-footed player with that curve. It's very hard to clear the ball in this kind of situation. So always Casemiro is at an advantage. And of course, because we've scored so many goals like these this season, you can be sure that with Erik Ramsey, these kind of set-piece routines are practiced and rehearsed every single practice session. That's why we are so good, so lethal when it comes to these set pieces. And that's a beautiful goal again from Casemiro. What a game he's had. Amazing. Speaking of amazing, let's look at the Anthony Martial goal. Now, first of all, let's start by praising Anthony Martial here, who did not have a good game by any means. He did not have a good game. But in this sequence, we could not have scored this goal without him. He's holding up the ball from a Manchester United throw-in. He's doing a very good job at keeping it alive. And then he lays it off to Casemiro. And then we find ourselves in this position where Casemiro is facing the opposition defense. What I like about this is Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho's movement here is world-class. I've always talked about Jadon Sancho as being an extremely talented player. And I'm going to show you so many good things about Jadon Sancho from this game in this video. But what I hate about him is that he is such an inefficient player. He's not a lean player. There is a lot of junk to how he plays. But I think that also has to do with where he plays. Here, naturally, seamlessly, he's able to find this gap right here between the left side and center back, the left back and the midfielder over here. The ball comes to him from Casemiro. Beautiful no-look pass. Beautiful control, raises his head, and then passes it to Anthony Martial, who, let's remember, has started the sequence by keeping hold of the ball at the byline. Beautiful goal. But here I have to say something about Jadon Sancho. Now, guys, again, coming back to the analogy of you guys playing football, if let's say you are right-footed and you receive the ball in an advanced position on the left-hand side, the natural thing to do for you, the thing that makes you feel comfortable, is to cut inside on your right foot and shoot. If you are right-footed and you are playing on the right-hand side, then the natural thing for you is to dribble, go wide, and cross. And so with a lot of players who play on the left and who are right-footed, who play in that inside-forward kind of role, it seems to favor selfish players. And I mean selfish in a good sense. That means players who are hungry for more goals. Players like Rashford or Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. But players like Sancho, who like to actually play with other players, who like to create things, who like to be involved in, set plays with their teammates. Actually, he must be much better suited to play on the right-hand side rather than on the left-hand side. And some of Jadon Sancho's best games at Manchester United, including during the preseason of this season, as well as his game last year, I think it was against Villarreal, our 2-0 win, where Michael Carrick was an interim manager at the time. Sancho completely demolished Villarreal and he was electric in that game. So maybe now, again, I don't wish anything bad on Anthony, but maybe his injury, we don't know how serious it is, but he's going to miss the game against Fulham, probably the FA Cup final against Manchester City. Maybe that could be an opportunity for Erik ten Hag, with Garnacho's emergence, to try Sancho on the right-hand side a little more. Let's see what he can offer in that position. I'm sure he can offer a lot. Now let's look at the third goal. Again, Casemiro, beautiful player, beautiful acquisition in the summer, world class. Bruno Fernandes comes in towards Fred, beautiful through ball towards Garnacho. What a talent this boy is. And then, again, speaking of efficient play, beautiful through ball towards Bruno Fernandes. And then Bruno Fernandes does this. Wesley Fofana, what happened, man? And what Bruno Fernandes did here is illegal. That should be illegal right there. And then that's how we get the penalty. And Wesley Fofana, I rate him. When he was a youngster at Saint-Etienne, I really wanted him at Manchester United. He's a really, really good player. But this game just was not his game. I think he's struggling to adapt to life at Chelsea. But anyway, that penalty, I think that it shook Wesley Fofana. What Bruno Fernandes did to him really shook him mentally, because Wesley Fofana, of course, is going to hand us a goal. Now, what I want to say here is that one of the reasons, of course, why we didn't control the game in the first half is because we did not actually man mark the Chelsea defenders and midfielders. Enzo Fernandez had a field day. He was able and allowed to get on the ball. But in the second half, we were much steelier, much more aggressive with how we mark their individual players in midfield and in defense. Wesley Fofana here does not have any opportunities, as you can see. Most of the players are marked, except Chalobah over here. He's gonna overhit the pass towards Bruno Fernandes, and then beautiful pass. Marcus Rashford, 30th goal of the season in all competitions. First player since Robin van Persie in 2012, 2013. Marcus Rashford, amazing season. Now, let's look at another sequence over here, which is Jadon Sancho's sequence. And what I want to show here is just how talented Jadon Sancho, because what frustrates me, some of you guys send me comments and even emails. I've received 2 emails of angry Scarlet Report followers talking to me about why do I criticize Jadon Sancho. I don't have a personal vendetta against any player, not David De Gea, not even Cristiano Ronaldo when he played for us. I just analyze what I see in front of me. And what frustrates me with Jadon Sancho is that he is so good. Look at this. He receives the ball. Look at this technique. Look at this. Look, Azpilicueta is swimming in the penalty box. But of course, with this talent comes, with great power comes great responsibility. That's how it is. And so my expectations of such a talented player have to be high. But of course, him playing on the right-hand side makes a world of difference. For example, here, let's see, first of all, Victor Lindelof, who also I'm going to talk about. Very aggressive on Conor Gallagher right here. Beautiful tackle. Look at that. Victor Lindelof, amazing. Gives it to Sancho. Look at Sancho. Because he's on the right-hand side, he's right-footed. Look, beautiful. Laid it off to Bruno Fernandes, and then we hit the crossbar. That should have been an amazing goal. But look, Sancho feels much more comfortable playing on the right-hand side. Maybe that's actually his best position. Now, Victor Lindelof, talked about him in the previous sequence. Again, here against Fofana, beautiful tackle. Look at that. And then here again, beautiful interception. Amazing. He's truly the Iceman. He's becoming the Iceman that Jose Mourinho promised to get us from Benfica. This Lindelof is very good. I've been impressed with him. I think that when he played next to Erik Bailly, Rojo, Harry Maguire, he looked ordinary, because those are ordinary defenders. But when he plays next to Luke Shaw, next to Lisandro Martinez, next to Varane, he looks world-class, solid. Now, speaking of the good, we also have to speak about the bad. Anthony Martial. I praised him in our second goal, in the build-up to our second goal, but he didn't have a good game. And Anthony Martial, his first touch, I mean, come on, beautiful pass from Varane. And then, look at this. What was that? And then again, this opportunity right here. What is that? Look, another sequence. Again, what is that, Anthony? And then, of course, that's amateurish level. That's Sunday League level of first touch. And again, the same thing with Sancho. Martial is paid £250,000 a week. I am of the opinion that we don't just need one premium striker this summer. We also need a replacement for Anthony Martial, a young player, 22 to 25-year-old, someone who would cost, 20 to 30 million pounds, who can provide competition for someone like Harry Kane or Osimhen. Because with Anthony Martial, when he is in the mood, when he is fit, he's a terrific player. But that doesn't happen often. And you cannot win titles with players like this who blow hot and cold depending on how they are feeling. As much as I love Martial, I don't think that you can ever win titles consistently or compete for the Premier League and the Champions League with this Anthony Martial right here. And I think that a decision on him has to be made in the summer. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it the thumbs up and leave a comment. Share your opinions by leaving a comment in the comment section below. Until next time, cheers.